Imagine being a fighter and getting the absolute daylights beaten out of you, only to find out the other guy has been pumping testosterone in their blood. We'd be mad, and so would you. Using performance enhancers is strictly banned in the UFC, but that hasn't stopped some fighters from doing it anyways. Stay tuned as we look at instances where UFC fighters got caught using steroids in today's video. First off, Alistair Overeem. Alistair Overeem is a terrific fighter known for being the first to hold world titles in MMA and K1 kickboxing simultaneously. Mixed martial arts, or MMA, and K1 kickboxing are two combat sports that make up the sport. Overeem began his career as a middleweight and light heavyweight before bulking up and moving to heavyweight division in 2007. As he progressed through his heavyweight career, his physique changed dramatically. He added muscle to his already massive physique year after year, giving him an even more stunning appearance. People were perplexed when they realized that he had greatly expanded his physical mass while maintaining his quickness and agility. He claimed to believe that eating horse meat is one of his favorite foods and one of his favorite things to do. However, after his spectacular knockout of then UFC heavyweight champion and WWE superstar Brock Lesnar in 2012, Alistair Overeem was found to have high testosterone levels, which resulted in a 9-month suspension from the sport. He said he liked horse meat, but it turns out his explanation was nothing but a big fat lie. Next up, Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva is one of the most recognized names in the world of competitive mixed martial arts. If you know anything about the UFC, you know about Anderson Silva. He took an unconventional approach to the sport, and it paid off for him when he won the Cage Rage and UFC middleweight titles. Silva successfully defended his championship 8 times in 4 years, rapidly climbing the tiers to put his powers to the test. However, Silva sustained a severe leg break during the second fight with Chris Weidman. After recovering from his injuries, Silva became embroiled in a succession of doping scandals after testing positive for the use of anabolic steroids and diuretics. These scandals followed him throughout his career. It was determined that the failed test was caused by a tainted supplement he was taking at the time. As a result, Silva received a 1-year suspension, but he was free to return to the game after serving his sentence. Given the severity of some of the other penalties on this list, it was a blessing that this warrior was spared the fate that so many others faced. We suspect it had something to do with how adored this man was in the UFC. After that, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, a former heavyweight champion of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, is widely regarded as one of the most dangerous competitors in the sports of mixed martial arts. Brock Lesnar made a big move from the world of professional wrestling, known as WWE, to the world of mixed martial arts, known as MMA. Despite this, he had to withdraw from 2 mixed martial arts competitions due to a disease called diverticulitis. It's when small pouches develop in your digestive tract, which is as unpleasant as it sounds. During his second effort at a return, he defeated Mark Hunt. However, the UFC reversed the results of the bout since Lesnar tested positive for clomiphene, a drug prohibited by the UFC's anti-doping program. Even though it is not a steroid, it is widely used to increase the quantities of testosterone generated by the body. Despite this, Lesnar was penalized with a 1-year ban from competing and a $250,000 fine as a direct result of the event. It would seem that the mayor of Suplex City had been using the taxpayers' money on some less than legal substances. Moving on, Chris Cyborg. There is a level of cool that most mere mortals will never be able to achieve. Having the last name Cyborg is something we all want, but can never have. Chris Cyborg is regarded as the most skilled female mixed martial artist in the sport's history worldwide. She is the only person in the history of mixed martial arts to win 4 world championships in 4 different mixed martial arts companies. She truly lived up to her last name. Unfortunately, one thing Cyborg could not live up to was the rigorous USADA drug test on one of the occasions that it was administered. After successfully defending her title against Hiroko Yamanaka, the Grand Slam champion was revealed to have a positive test result for an anabolic steroid known as stenazolo. This discovery came after the Grand Slam champion successfully defended her championship against Hiroko Yamanaka. As a direct consequence, the match was declared a draw and Yamanaka was given the victory. The fact that Cyborg was kicked out of the promotion, given a fine of $2,500, and given a 1-year suspension by the California State Athletic Commission is evidence that a single failed test can be the end of someone with even as stellar a career as her. Following her is Dan Henderson. Dan Hendo Henderson, who competes in mixed martial arts, is known as one of the most courageous competitors in the sport. He is one of the few few fighters in UFC history to simultaneously hold the title in 2 distinct weight classes. At the age of 26, when Hendo made his debut appearance in mixed martial arts competition, most of his opponents had already reached the halfway point of their careers. Despite this, he continued to participate in fights by using a chemical that's banned from being used in the game, but because it's believed to be a steroid. By acting as though he suffered from hypogonadism, he increased the levels of testosterone that were naturally present in his body. The treatment that he underwent is called testosterone replacement therapy, or TRT. As a result, he was able to continue his career at a high level of competition. However, it was only after he retired that regulators banned this treatment from the UFC, so he is one of the few that got away with it. That being said, his legacy has obviously been tainted. Next up, Frank Mir. Frank Mir is a former 2-time heavyweight champion of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Mir also holds the UFC record for the longest undefeated streak in history. Following a succession of defeats, including one at the hands of Mark Hunt, he was forced to resample an in-game test to compete again. Dihydrochloromethyltestosterone was discovered to be present in previous samples acquired from him. This drug was previously known as oral turinabol. In the event of athletic competition, this chemical cannot be employed. The former champion was unhappy with how the drug matter was handled and demanded that the UFC release him from his contract earlier than planned. They eventually consented to his proposal. It is safe to say that he was displeased with how the UFC had handled the situation. After Frank, Gleison Tibau. Gleison Tibau is a seasoned fighter who has competed in over 25 Ultimate Fighting Championship fights. His credentials include the following. Even though several of his victories were removed from his record owing to negative drug tests, he had a promising career overall. Similarly to Brock Lesnar, he failed a whole bunch of drug tests, both in and out of competition. In one of his controversies, he admits to taking erythropoietin for the first time outside of competition. Nonetheless, he assumed there would be no ramifications because he believed the chemical was legal. He argued that the UFC has consistently proved that rescheduling a bout is preferable to publishing the results of a drug test in time to cancel an event. As a result, people are starting to realize that the event's continuation takes precedence over protecting the safety of the participants in the conflict. Then we have Hector Lombard. Hector Lombard has competed in the UFC in the middleweight and welterweight divisions. Lombard was a part of the United States Olympic judo team. After his unanimous victory over Josh Berkman, Lombard was given a 1-year suspension for testing positive for desoxymethyltestosterone, or DMT, while competing against Josh Berkman, even though Lombard won the fight by unanimous decision. He argues that he was not under the influence of any illegal substances on purpose and that he avoided doing so. It was offered to him before his fight, so he chose a product he thought would be acceptable for the situation and went on to win. Furthermore, he indicated that he accepts full responsibility for utilizing the supplement without acquiring more information. Up next is Josh Barnett. Josh Barnett, often known as the baby-faced assassin, which might be the best nickname of all time, has competed in practically every major fighting promotion throughout his nearly 2-decade mixed martial arts career. Barnett's career stretches back over 2 decades. In addition to his accomplishments, Josh is well known for his various doping-related offenses, for which he has received several cautions and suspensions. Josh is well known in the community as a result of these offenses. Josh is well known because of the crimes he committed. After defeating Randy Couture in 2001, he was awarded the UFC Heavyweight Championship. Following the bout, he had his urine tested, and the results revealed that he had used boldenone, nandrolone, and fluoxymesterone. He was no longer eligible to hold the title due to disclosing this information. As a result of this breach, the Nevada State Athletic Commission has decided to strip him of his UFC championship and suspend him from participating for 6 months. And finally, John Bones Jones. Most smart UFC people agree that John Jones is the greatest fighter who ever graced the UFC. And honestly speaking, we're not arguing with them. He broke several milestones in the promotion, including being the youngest fighter to win the UFC light heavyweight title at 23 and breaking several others along the road. Despite his undoubted greatness in the ring, the one thing Jones could not conquer was his demons. Because of his actions, his career suffered in numerous situations, one of which was when he had to hand over his title to Daniel Cormier following a hit-and-run incident. John Jones tested positive for prohibited substances when they were scheduled for a rematch to see who deserved the 205-pound title more. As a result, he received a 1-year suspension, lost his title, and was stripped of them. As a result, he made UFC history as the first fighter in the organization's history to have 2 of his belts stripped from him at the same time. Even all-time greats like John Jones and Anderson Silva have been caught in such scandals, so it's important to remember that cheating is never the answer. We thank you guys for watching. watching, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time, see ya.